Ethiopia, Kenya, and Somalia to one hospital, which bring all the patients from these countries and give a common service. So this kind of interventions really will bring more closer our member states and the people. However, the lack of usable bridge spanning to the river of Dawa limits the ability of the community to full advantage of the available health facilities. IGAD has undertaken to work closely with the national and international authorities and partners to address this gap in regional integration. Looking inward at the interior category of intention to the next 2 years, my brothers and sisters, I find that the roadmap for reform and revitalization that I shared with you a year ago during my inaugural State of the Region address remain sufficiently comprehensive to guide us in this regard. Last year, I methodically reported on the far-reaching reform agenda that we formulated to systematically transform IGAD into an organization for 21st century. The reform initiatives focus creating a conducive environment for the implementation of new IGAD strategy plan that is 2021-2025, which we will launch here today. IGAD expects that the 6 pillars that support the architecture of the strategy will act as both a blueprint and guideline for the upcoming reporting period between 2030 and 2063. With this time frame, we shall be taking stock of the extent in which we have fulfilled our shared aspirations as articulated in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and African Union Continental Transformation and Integration Agenda. This is the logic that inspired us to break the tradition and instead of formulating a short 5-year strategy, we elected to think bigger, longer, and further. As a consequence, IGAD Regional Strategy Plan 2021 to 2025 is the first in a series of 6 sub-strategies, each running for 5 years, that are to be subsequently implemented toward the grand vision of IGAD 2050. I am encouraged by the scale of our ambition and our deliberate decision to prepare and plan for the next generation by casting our eyes 30 years ahead. It is our intention, Your Excellencies, to accelerate the process of setting a firm foundation for the security, development, and prosperity of the estimated 400 million people that will be living in our region by 2050. The 7 principal priorities under the reform initiative include: number 1, revamping the human resource structure and improving internal human resource capacity; digital transformation of the IGAD Secretariat; construction of the new IGAD headquarters; instituting the IGAD Cancer Center of Excellence; establishing the implementation and awards and scholarship programs for our regional users and all people who really need this; creating the IGAD Committee of eminent personalities really work on different areas, on political, diplomacy, and other social issues, and qualifying for EU pillar assessment in order to directly manage funding from our partners. Let me begin with the brick and mortar project. Last year, I was pleased to have hosted the IGAD chair, His Excellency Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok, at the groundbreaking ceremony for the new IGAD headquarters in Djibouti. This year, we successfully completed the structural design of the building, which represents the face of the region. With the building now provisionally cost us $55.4 million, I will be delighted to formally launch this call for construction bids today in this podium. In April of this year, we broke ground on the IGAD Cancer Center of Excellence that will be in Addis Ababa, and we are aggressively building partnership for this funding and operation. I want to thank the government of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia and the leadership there for allocating the IGAD Cancer Center as a prime peace land in the capital city, valued at over $200 million. Most importantly, I want to thank the initiators of this center, who are a diasporas of these member states, the specialists who have extensive knowledge and experience on this area, who initiated these things, the sons and daughters of this region. So I want to thank them for this initiative. I also express my sincere gratitude to the IGAD Partners Forum and the Royal Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, who generously assisted us on this process. In the realm of building intellectual capacity in our region, today we will be also formally launching, Your Excellencies, a call for application for first 300 scholarship that will support the students from vulnerable communities to have access to higher education at the International University of Africa in Khartoum, Sudan, and Kampala International University in Uganda. This scholarship program will be our flagship project for integration through education, bringing the young citizens of this region to one university and to one plan to integrate them and to be friends. Most of us have experience of this, and that will be a lasting friendship that can be turned into a friendship which bond a friendship between countries and communities. To strengthen the ability of IGAD to drive our efforts to peace building from below and safeguard the prospect of our security and stability, I am pleased to announce in this address the launch of the IGAD Leadership Academy. I am confident that with the support of the member states and partners, the IGAD Leadership Academy will grow into a house that brings together, grooms and nurtures the next generation of leaders who will steer our region to even greater heights of harmony and progress. As you know very well, leadership is the most important component of the society to bring that society to the highest level. So I'm pleased that this academy will bring together our cream of the leaders, the young leaders who can work together, who can learn together and finally share experience on this area. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as you most certainly appreciate, the scale of our ambition can only be attained if we are able to marshal the resource to realize it. I am happy to report that during my time in office, IGAD has witnessed a tremendous improvement in the level of political will and financial commitment by our member states, many of whom are meeting their obligations in full and on time. However, there is still room for improvement. In order for IGAD to shore up our credibility as a rules-based organization and build our capacity to complement the effort of our generous partners, it is imperative that the burden of responsibility is equitably shared by all our member states. At this juncture, I also want to take this opportunity to acknowledge and sincerely appreciate the support of our firm friends and partners, including the European Union and its members, the World Bank, African Development Bank, and UN agencies, as well as members of the IGAD Partners Forum and Troika countries. Thank you for your collaboration and support. IGAD is also thankful for the cordial relation and bilateral ties we enjoy with the new emerging partners who really are working very closely with us. Excellencies, I will conclude this year's annual address with the observation that our of circumstances what has come to define us through the decades. We cannot change the geography of our region, and we cannot choose our neighbors. In other words, the maps cannot redraw themselves. We are bound now and for the all time by the geographic, cultural, and economic ties that bind us, and we are inseparably connected to each other. This means, Your Excellencies, my brothers and sisters, we stand a better chance of overcoming our difficulties and thriving if we pool our resources and efforts only and only if together. Thank you very much.
Please, let's give His Excellency another applause of a crowd. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Your Excellency, as you can see from the audience, the distinguished audience, you have received a standing ovation for giving us a very comprehensive state of the region. You have been able to look at the things that we have been able to accomplish under your leadership, but also you have guided us into the future. Colleagues, I don't want to actually even dare attempt that I would even summarize His Excellency's address. But for me, as I sat, it has helped me in several ways. I meet people who ask me, what is IGAD doing? Especially when we have challenges in our member states. His Excellency, thank you very much, because you have outlined the quiet diplomacy that you are involved in, day out, to try and ensure that we have a stable and secure region. And this goes to what His Excellency has articulated, that for IGAD, we don't use public diplomacy, we use quiet diplomacy, and His Excellency has been excellent in it. Priorities, you have really outlined them, and I don't want to get into them, but I'm touched because you have reminded me of a book I read, The Trouble with Nigeria by Chinua Achebe. And for those who have read that book, he says the trouble with Nigeria is leadership. And we would say perhaps the trouble that we have, not just in our region, but globally, is a challenge of leadership. And therefore, I'm sure, colleagues, you're excited as I am, that IGAD will have a leadership academy to nurture young leaders. Your Excellency, thank you very much. Now, colleagues, we wanted to get into session 3, and His Excellency has really guided us as we move to session 3. In his address, he has outlined that under his leadership, we have come up with an IGAD strategy that covers the next 5 years, 2021 to 2022. And this it's a building block as we get into looking at IGAD in the next 30 years in the Vision 2050. I now want to request my colleagues, Awira and Rachel. We want this strategy to be launched before you. As we said, this is a strategy that as we meet, you'll be holding us accountable if we have been able to implement it. But we will be implementing it together with our member states, with community leaders. I therefore request Anthony symbolically to come with Rachel. Anthony Awira is the Director Planning, and Rachel works in the same division. His Excellency is going to